Good afternoon, QChurch, and welcome to our house. This afternoon, we are here together as a community on a quest for a refreshed perspective on life. Now, there'll be no IQ get-together this Wednesday, so if you'd like an extra dose of QChurch this week, then head to the media page at qyork.co.uk, where you can watch back the highlights from our Sunday and Wednesday get-togethers. Don't forget that this year our Christmas at Our House celebration will be on Sunday the 22nd of December, and then we'll take a break for Christmas, so there'll be no service on Sunday the 29th of December. If you're a guest with us this afternoon, then welcome to Q. On the pew in front of you, you'll find Welcome to Our House cards, which are there to help us get to know each other. So feel free to fill one in and hand it to a steward. Now, everything that we do here at Q can only happen because of the lovely, generous people all around you. And the easiest way to support Q and all we're doing here together as a community is to hit the donate button at qyork.co.uk. If you'd like to make a cash or a cheque donation today instead, then you can just use the black and white envelopes that are in front of you, and we'll take a collection later on this afternoon. After the final song this afternoon, there'll be drinks and snacks served in the foyer, and we'll have half an hour to relax and chat over a cuppa, whilst our 5 to 11-year-olds have 30 minutes of fun and games in Life Zone. Now, over recent weeks, we've explored how we might remember the past and learn from it. The challenge for all of us is that our actions today might well be what others remember tomorrow. And each moment of our lives is a memory in the making. So let's consider today how we can make our lives count as we set off on a quest to inspire.
Who remembers that song? That's a generational thing, isn't it? I used to love that song. Good evening. So we've been talking for the last few weeks about remembering and being free, first of all, from haunting those things that might trouble us from our past, then sustaining that freedom, how we make sure, having got away from those things, we live in the freedom and don't revert back. Then we talked a little bit about being able to go back and revisit some things on purpose, because how we've remembered them might not actually be what's going to draw the most learning and wisdom from those experiences. And we've actually then got to here. So we were thinking, well, what do we do now? What would be a next step? So what we wanted to focus on tonight is almost like, okay, we've got to here. We're all here right now in this moment. How can we go forward here? Almost with the ideas that, like we said in the introduction, we are making memories from this moment on. Right now, I'm making a memorable moment, potentially, for some of you. And having learnt the power of sharing memory, we thought we could do something collectively tonight. Now, the word inspire is a really inspirational word in itself, because it means to breathe into, to put breath in something. And it's interesting that originally it was to do with the divine or supernatural being, and it actually means to impart a truth or idea to someone. So we all know what it feels like to feel inspired, and you can't always rationalize it. It's like you feel life come into you and suddenly energized by something, because that's actually breathing into you something that will move you forward. And we've just sung it this evening. We are actually living, breathing beings in the broadest sense. And so in any given moment, we are breathing life into one another and literally being someone's inspiration. Now, I think that's quite exciting. I think in any given moment, we're sharing truth and ideas that we're all learning along the way, and that's putting something into someone else. So we wanted to explore that a little bit tonight. Now, you may have seen the film called Groundhog Day, where a guy gets stuck in a single day of his life. And he literally wakes up to an alarm clock every day, and he is in the same day and can't get out of that day. And it just goes round and round and round. And so what he tries to do is perfect the experience. He learns what's going to happen, and he learns to sort of avoid the puddles he might step in, avoid the characters he might not want to meet. But one of the things he sets out to do in that repetitive cycle is to have someone, he's got one day for someone to fall in love with him. And what he tries to do each day is make his day that is actually the same day over and over again about breathing life into a relationship and being loved to someone. And it really made me think, actually, that sometimes we might feel like, oh, it's difficult to be inspired when I've got the realities and the day-to-day of life. But actually, that's where we can breathe into things. It's in the ordinary, it's in the moments, it's in the interactions that may actually be the same routines as we have on other days, but yet they've got a different quality because it's the day that we're in. So our next step on the journey today is to inspire you to say, what next memory might you be making, even within some things that might perhaps feel like they're just things you can't change. But what could you do within those experiences? And how could they become experiences that really do breathe into somebody else? Now, might that be living well? We've talked here before about the difference between static belief and dynamic faith. If your beliefs are static, it just means that's what I think. That's how I see it. That's how it is. If we have a dynamic faith in life, that's always full of potential and possibility. That's not buttoned down. That's not fixed. Anything could happen. And that to me is exciting. Now, we're going to watch a clip now from a film called The BLINDSIDE. And it's a great film if you want to watch it. And it's based on a true story of how one mother in America took on board a promising young athlete who hadn't ever had anywhere to belong in his life. And so she opened up her home and her family's home to this young man. The reason I wanted to show this clip is what's fascinating is how other people view it. They look and think, oh, isn't that nice? She's taking in somebody, some poor little lad, and she's taking everything she has and investing into him. And I want you to pay particular attention to how she views it at the end, because what's really lovely is that she is getting as much inspiration out of it as she is putting in. And I used to believe that as one of the chosen God-inspired people, my job was to breathe this life and what I understood into everybody else. And almost it was actually work to do. There was work to do. Jenny, you have a truth and you have to make sure everybody else has a truth, or you're not doing your job. And it was very, very subtle, and I was doing it from a genuine place. But I think this awesome truth we've come to now is that we are all God-breathed human beings. We are it. We are it. And so it's not about acquiring a status of being able to inspire. It's just about saying, I've got life in me. I've learned some stuff. I've gained some wisdom. I've got some ideas. Can I tell you about them? And do you know what? Can I then sit with you while you share your story? And that's the spirit we're coming at it from tonight. And so we hope you feel inspired by the end of the evening and throughout the evening. So let's watch the clip. Thank you.
When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. When the evening shadows and the stars appear, and there's no one there to dry your tears, I could hold you for a million years to make you feel my love. I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I will never do you wrong. I've known it from the moment that we met. No doubt in my mind where you belong. crawling down the avenue. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do to make you feel my love. The storms are raging on the rolling sea, and on the highway of regrets. The winds of change are blowing wild and free. You ain't seen nothing like me yet. I could make you happy, make your dreams come true. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do. Go to the ends of the earth for you, to make you feel my love, to make you feel my love.
Now you're going to die, where are you, Christoph? Because I love graffiti. And I actually love the fact that somebody has been a bit naughty and perhaps gone on a train track, I'm sorry, don't kill me, and painted things. So again, what inspires you may not inspire somebody else, but it doesn't make it wrong. I know it makes it wrong, I know. And what I love about that video is not one person knew I'm inspiring you, and as a result of me inspiring you, you've inspired. But what they've done is they've been open. The whole heart's been open, and they've noticed. And I always talk a lot about to my kids about compassion. Compassion for me is just noticing, but it's not just noticing; it's taking action. Because we can be compassionate, go, oh, that poor things, but not do anything about things. But if you're compassionate and do something, it's real love in action. And I love the fact that nobody knew, but as a result of them being open and watching and thinking, that was a kind thing to do. They do a kind thing, and before you know it, you're just inspiring people to love in action. Now, not all of our things, how we inspire people, you'll know about, but sometimes you do. And last November, the Remembrance Weekend, I was away down in London at a big conference that I was doing a bit of a keynote there, and it was a big conference. People were coming in from all over the world. And but just 3 weeks previously, I had said that I wanted to end my marriage, so it was still very, very raw. And I was there for the first time, you know, having left the kids, and I was I've done all my preps, I'm trying to serve the audience that I'm serving. In the meantime, I'm getting texts and phone calls and emails that were really unkind, and I'm trying to block those and trying to spin plates. And I thought at any moment, I think my eyeballs are just going to literally melt and just fall out of my face because it was so stressful. And I'd done all my prep. But when I was talking to this group, there was just something about a few of the faces that you could see. And it was massive, it's 400 people, you can't see everybody. But outside of my prep, just something just went into my spirit. And I said, do you know what? I think the problem with some people here today is they don't feel enough. And I said, and the thing is, we never ever say that there are not enough music notes. And there's only 7 music notes. You can make them sharp, you can make them flat, but there's only 7 music notes. Nobody says, you know what, there just isn't enough, is there? Just isn't enough. And you've got classical, and you've got opera, and you've got hip-hop, and you've got David Bowie. And you've got all these people who make so much different music with 7 music notes. And I said, you know, it's about time you dance to your own tune. So that was that. This year, they actually asked me back, but they said, rather than doing a keynote, would you host it all? I said, yes, that would be lovely, thank you very much. So I went down Remembrance Weekend again. What I hadn't anticipated was all the memories from last year just went, and they sort of were hanging on to me like little horrible ghosts. And I thought, flipping heck, I was expecting this. It completely blindsided me. And in the morning, on the Saturday morning, I'd done a bit on the Friday night, but on the Saturday morning, I was so anxious. I thought, this isn't like me. I don't get anxious before I speak. I sometimes get a little bit of adrenaline, but I don't get fearful, I don't get anxious. But I was absolutely crippled in my stomach, my head, I thought was going to explode. And I just said, God, you're just going to have to take the wheel because I can't hack it. And I've got a full 2 days where I've got to serve these people and serve them well. Please, just be there for me. Just be there for me. So I did my bit throughout the day. And on the Saturday afternoon, around about 3:30, somebody came up to me and she was a lady probably in the sort of mid-30s, and she said, can I have a quick word? I said, yes, hi. She said, I was here last year. And I said, brilliant, I'm so glad you've come back. That's fantastic, are you enjoying it? And she said, yeah, I am, but I just want to say to you, she said, you really inspired me last year. She goes, and you made me wake up. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she said, I was so small and I was hiding. And she said, and you saying, there are more than enough music notes to make so many different beautiful tunes and just dance to your own tune. She goes, and I've been always measuring up and thinking, I'm not enough. And she said, and I thought, no, I am enough and I'm going to do it. And she said, and so I've started writing a book and I've launched a podcast. I said, chuffing Nora, that's amazing. That's fantastic. She said, no. It was because of you. I said, it wasn't, and I'm glad I sparked it. I said, but can I just tell you something? I said, you were brought for me today. I said, because actually I really, flipping out, I'm sorry. The kids are always like, don't cry. Just why do you cry? And I said, you were there for me. I said, I'm not going into it, but there was just stuff. I said, let's just file it under life. And I said, and I really was looking for something today, and you were it. I said, so together we've inspired each other. I said, hey, yeah, you and so we had a bit of a hug. Now, I promise you, please hear my heart on this. I'm not telling you that to big myself up. But sometimes that was a dark time last year. I literally thought I was losing my mind. And even in the darkness, something came out. So what I want to say about inspiration is it is everywhere. It's everywhere. So I'm sitting there feeling this is all good. And a bit like Jenny was saying about the breath. Then Joel starts singing. I've heard that song before. It's not all that. And then Joel starts singing. I'm like that. And it just totally inspired me. You might receive an email that you think, I really love the way they phrase that. This is a tricky situation and they phrase that really well. That's inspired me to phrase something better in another email. It might be somebody at school who deals with a situation in a classroom that you think, that was really good. That's really inspired me. It might be watching a mum do something with her child that makes you think, that's a really good idea, the way they explain that to them. That's really good. And you've got two choices with all this inspiration that's in the world. You can use it to make yourself feel less and think, why don't I do that? Or you can use that to think, why don't I do that? And this is what I mean. Language is so important and phraseology is so important and tone, but heart's important. Rather than, why don't I do that? It's, why don't I do that? And how can I do it? So just be encouraged that you have no idea who you're inspiring, no idea, but I promise you, you are. I promise you, you are. It might be somebody who's passed you on a bus, just looking out the window and just spotted you doing something. And so let's just say that this week and beyond, just believe that you are going to say something or do something or give a look to somebody that just inspires them right where they are. And that they grab that baton and they do that to somebody else. Because we all need a person. And we're going to watch a video now of Ian Wright. Now, Ian Wright, for older people like me, you'll know him to be Arsenal footballer Ian Wright and England player Ian Wright. For those of you who are very young, you'll know him as current Celebrity Jungle. Ian Wright. Now, Ian Wright was talking, we're going to show a video about him, a teacher who spotted something in him. And sometimes when we don't believe something ourselves, it takes somebody else to see our spark and for them to believe in us, for us to rise up. And I just love what Ian Wright has got to say about his teacher, so enjoy.
So just bring the vibe up a little bit. Beautiful video. Just some of the things I have to edit in the week, you sit there like, woo! Just to watch it like 10 times. I wanted to put that song in as I came on, because Jen got a song, so I thought I'll have one as well. That song's been going through my head all week as well, which Anth will probably fire me for it, because it's country, isn't it? I don't like country. But the whole words in it are, let your love flow like an ocean stream. And I want to talk a little bit about cats, cups, and conduits. Because cats are a big part of our family. And I want to introduce you to one of our cats. This is George. George is a little legend. He's kind of like a legend around Clifton as well, because everybody knows him as they walk past. He kind of says hello and everything. I swear, he'll sit on the wall outside. Someone will walk past and he'll be like, "Rah," and have a little chat. Some other pictures of George up here. He does like a good sleep. But I want to talk about George because he's got a new addiction. George is addicted to butter. I think we have a picture of that as well. See, Amy's his dealer, and she hooked him up with a bit of butter one breakfast time. And I swear now, every day he sits on a little stool at the breakfast table with us. He eats with us. Well, he doesn't eat with us at the table, but he literally won't go anywhere until you've given him his butter. And I said to him the other day on a flippant comment, George, man shall not live on butter alone. And it got me thinking, that phrase went around in my head. And those of you who've maybe been around here a while will know where that phrase comes from, because the original version is something Jesus said about 2,000 years ago. And he said, man shall not live on bread alone, not butter, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. So we're talking about inspiration tonight. And I wanted to just break this down a little bit, because I think the way that we approach things and our perspective can actually help us see things a little of a different way. So man does not live on bread alone. The word live jumped out to me because I was thinking about what is life? What does it really mean to live? And sometimes do we end up just living on bread alone? And I think that sometimes could be a metaphor for we end up like a cup. We just fill our cup in life. And I guess the media is constantly telling you, you need this stuff. So get stuff, and you get stuff in you, and you think, I'm going to be happy if I get stuff. And that's going to inspire me if I can just have stuff. But we can end up full, but have you ever used the phrase, I am fed up? I don't know whether you've used the phrase this week, I am fed up. And it strikes me, it's kind of a weird phrase, isn't it? Why would you use the word fed up? What it triggers in my mind is maybe we get fed up and a bit, ugh. Sometimes it can be circumstance. Sometimes it's because our whole approach to life is just cup mentality. It's just, we're just fed up, but there's kind of no better than just being fed up. I wonder whether there's a different way of interpreting this that can help us. Do you remember the Crudes clip we showed the other week where the girl shouts at her dad? She says, that's not living, that's just not dying. And I think sometimes that mentality of kind of cup mentality, get, just breathe into me, can actually end up with us just feeling like we're existing rather than fully living. So Jesus is talking here, man doesn't live on bread alone. So there's a something else. So let's have a look at the but. He talks about every word that comes from the mouth of God. Now, there's three words I want to look at. So word and the mouth of God. So I think in the probably last 15, 20 years, we've been talking a lot here about what is God like. So we looked at the character of God. Is God the kind of being that would send all these people to hell forever? Is God love instead? So we've kind of asked lots of questions that are like, what is God like? But I feel like more recently we've been on a journey of asking a different question, which is more, what is God? Because I think sometimes our mentality is that whatever this God thing, power, energy is, it was a person way out there, separate from us. And so we had to kind of do stuff or believe stuff to interact with this being out there. Kind of cup mentality. God out there, fill my cup, and then I'll be all right. I wonder whether there's a different idea now. We've talked about the idea of the universal Christ here. If you've missed some of the Wednesdays, there was some great teaching about what that is. The basic gist of it is that God is not a separate person, and actually the understanding the Bible teaches is this idea of a energy and a power that exists and lives within all things. That includes me, that includes you. So this idea we've had traditionally of this separate God idea out there, and we have to believe stuff, do stuff, get things right to connect with that ultimate, has been scrapped and swapped with the idea that actually God is the very breath within you. So we talked at the beginning in that song, the name of God is the sound of our breathing, because the Hebrew culture, the word for God was Yahweh. It was like the very breath within you is that ultimate divine experience. So rather than a cup, I said conduit. Anyone know what a conduit is? Yeah, Phil knows what a conduit is because they use it in electrics. So it's something through which something flows or is fed. I wonder if we saw ourselves rather as conduit rather than cup, or pipe rather than pot. That actually if we saw ourselves as something that good stuff flowed through, inspiration, breath, that divine energy flowed through, rather than just a receptacle that needed stuff to come to us, then actually if you allow all of that awesome stuff to flow through you constantly, which includes 3 processes: I am willing to receive, I believe that people love me, that's a big thing, I trust that the people around me love me, that can allow the goodness to flow into me, but also I'm going to then love myself and believe that I have this energy within me, but also I'm going to let that flow through me. If we let your love flow, then as long as we let it flow, we are going to be full. So maybe the conduit rather than the cup mentality is going to help us to see that actually in any moment we can be an inspiration. So let's see ourselves as a pipe for the divine that's constantly flowing through us. Doesn't matter what we've done or do, but actually that is constantly flowing through you. And that is why you are an inspiration to people. Because as long as you just let that being that is you and is all around you flow, then actually you're going to inspire the people around you. I think this next clip kind of puts that visually. Thanks.
I know that we all ask ourselves so many questions sometimes about what it means and, how we navigate life. But what I do know is how much we affect one another. And if you think about all the times that plays out negatively, sometimes they're easier places to go to. I mean, it's not, you don't have to look hard, do you, to find pain or hate or division or negative opinion. And we can all look there, but we can also look all the time to other things that are actually pouring life into us. And I guess what we're getting at tonight is probably, as the counter to some of what we've talked about and looking back at those memories and redeeming those memories in a way, is saying, let's have an eye for that detail, for the stuff that's coming into us. And Danny's right, there has to be an openness and a humility to receive that. And that can be really hard if we've built a wall to protect ourselves because things hurt. But sometimes I think if we're willing to just lower the defenses a bit and say, I'm genuinely going to learn from the people around me and look to be inspired, I do believe in what you've heard from multiple people tonight, that it's there, that it is there. And so I guess we're encouraging you to look up, to trust, to believe that you can be that conduit for life to flow to you, from you, within you. Now, I know I want to breathe that sort of air. I know I do. I want to be somebody that does inspire others, but I also know there has to be a level of openness and that self-care. I liked what Danny said about how if you're that conduit, you're in that chain too. You're in that chain too. And what Jen said about the notes, you are enough of a being to be a conduit for this life we're talking about tonight. If you already are it's just we put all those blockages in our way sometimes. So what we hope you're hearing at Q is the journey we're going on. And it would, in all honesty, and I did it last week in preparing for last week, I listened to the last sort of 4 Sundays. It would do you the world of good to listen to the last few weeks in a sequence and just to hear the journey. It will be healing for some of you, and I would really, really encourage you to do that. Just as the final clip before we sing the final song, I saw this this yesterday, and it really, really inspired me. And so I wanted to share it because in this clip, sometimes we think that to be inspirational, we have to rush around saving things. What I love about this clip is that you'll see this mother bird, and she's got eggs, and the life and the potential life in what she is bringing from her life is under threat. And what she has to do is just stand her ground. And I really felt I wanted to say to some of you tonight, for some of you, you're going to be inspiring through what you do in a sort of active action. Some of the most inspiring people I know in my life have been, and there's many of you in here, have been people who have just been willing to stand their ground under threat, to just hold that line and say, I don't know how this is going to play out, but I'm here. And some of the most inspirational things I've found are people that haven't tried to fix things or rush around like headless chickens, have just said, I'm here, and however this plays out, I've got you. And I just wanted you to see that sense of this from this clip that I hope you'll enjoy. And then we are going to end because love needs a body. And it's a brilliant song for the kids and it's upbeat, but love does need a body. It needs your body to be that conduit of life flowing through you. And will you be open for the business of love in your world? So enjoy this and then enjoy being inspired at the end. Thank you very much.
There was two people that in that clip that I thought were conduits. One was obviously the mother bird, but the second one, it's me and you, mate. The second one was, who was the other character in that clip that you didn't see? The farmer in the tractor, who actually, that would have been, from experience, that would have been a right inconvenience dodging that bird, and he'd have had this empty patch in his field for the whole year. But sometimes that willingness to actually consider the other is part of love. Now, this song is a load of fun, so jump to your feet. It's all about how we can use each part of our body to actually be that conduit, but also how a body is required, a community is required for love. We aren't an island. We are part of a community, whether it's here, our family, citywide, the country, the world. Actually, everybody's got a different role to play in loving. The other thing we just wanted to add is that... Go get Mick. The other thing I wanted to add is, if there are people that have inspired you and you've got stories of inspiration, then we would love to hear them next week. Q Without You, we'd love to widen that so more and more of you are involved. So have a little think this week. Who has been an inspiration for you? And please either drop us a text, email us, get in touch with myself or Jenny. Let us know, because we'd love you to be able to share your story, either on stage if you'd like to, or via video, or just we could share it for you if you don't have the guts to get up here. But we would love to hear your story. So jump to your feet. Let's have a boog. It's me and you, boys. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Basta. Now love needs a heart in which to beat. And love needs to move, so love needs feet. Now love needs some skin, so give me 5. And love needs a pulse or it isn't alive. If you know it, sing along, come on. If we're gonna change the world, a thought will never be enough. 'Cause love needs a body, will you be a body for... Grab someone. Love needs a hand that's ready to hold. And love needs guts when love gets bold. Now love can change all we see. Say now, love needs you and love needs me. Here we go now. If we're gonna change the world, a thought will never be enough. 'Cause love needs a body, will you be a body for love? Sing it out loud, here we go now. I can be a body, you can be a body, we can be a body for love. I can be a body, you can be a body, we can be a body for... We're the strangest boy band in the universe. But love needs lips with something to say. And love needs legs that won't walk away. Come on. Now love needs a back to carry home. All those that love knows can't make it alone. Come on, it's your last chance, sing it out. If we're gonna change the world, I thought we'll never be enough. Because love needs a body, will you be a body for love? Here we go now! Cause I could be a body, you could be a body, we could be a body for love. I could be a body, you could be a body, we could be a body for love. Love, yeah! I could be a body, you could be a body, we could be a body for love. I could be a body, you could be a body, we could be a body for love. It's your moment, Steve, come on. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, have a lovely week, everybody. Be your inspirational selves, and we will see you next week.